In the wake of the outrage, trailing the approval of 57.6 billion naira for sports utility vehicles for lawmakers, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is said to have submitted a supplementary budget to the National Assembly requesting the allocation of over 7.3 billion naira for the procurement of vehicles for the State House. In the same budget, the Office of the First Lady is set to receive 1.5 billion naira for the purchase of new vehicles. The budget request is set to be part of President Tinubu's broader proposal, which includes a 2.17 trillion supplementary budget for approval by the National Assembly. Within the supplementary budget, the government intends to allocate 2.9 billion naira for the acquisition of sports utility vehicles designated for the presidential villa, and an additional 2.9 billion naira for the replacement of existing vehicles at the presidential villa. Dr. Abati, you know that this will raise a lot of eyebrows, but you know that there is more. The breakdown of the proposed expenses also include the sum of 4 billion naira for the renovation of the residential quarters of the president, while renovation of Dodan Barracks, the official residence of the president in Lagos, would also gulp another 4 billion naira. Also, the sum of 2.5 billion naira is budgeted for the renovation of Aguda House, while 3 billion naira is budgeted for the renovation of official quarters of the vice president in Lagos, bringing it to a total expenditure of 13.5 billion naira.
Well, the various official residences may well be in need of renovation, because when a president leaves, a new president comes in. You know, there is usually renovation because the place will be renovated to the taste of the new president. Dodan Barracks in Lagos in particular, you know, having been abandoned more or less for a very long time, you know, needs renovation because the other building that is in Marina has been handed over to the Lagos state government. So if the president of Nigeria comes, he will have no option but to use the Dodan Barracks, you know, which even also has a small landing strip for helicopters. However, the one that you may query will be this one's about vehicles. And the example of President Hakainde Hichilema of Zambia.
I had that video. I was going to play it again, but so, you know, go ahead.
President Hichilema of Zambia said, look, he's not going to change vehicles. He will just be using the vehicles that are there. So the question you now raise is, the vehicles that are already attached to the First Lady's office, what is wrong with them? Are we going to change all the vehicles? And then some of the vehicles, official cars in the villa, you know, are we going to change all of them just because we have a new president? It shouldn't be the culture that each time a new president comes, you change all the vehicles. And in any case, this is still by way of supplementary budget. Unfortunately, people are protesting because the same National Assembly that has taken over 70 billion to buy vehicles for members is not likely to say no. It will just say, well, I mean, since we got our own, it's good for the villa to also get their own.
I think that image on TV right now is very instructive.
Yes,
the National Assembly spends 53.7 billion on cars for lawmakers in 12 years.
The third point is that in a country where inflation is shooting through the roof, there are concerns about foreign exchange. I mean, people would genuinely, legitimately feel scandalized that you are going to use public funds to go and buy luxury vehicles, you know, for whatever purpose. So these are the issues here. Our leaders should be seen to also be cutting corners.
Yes.
They should be seen to be making sacrifice. And the most unfortunate part of it is that even when they don't make this sacrifice, these vehicles will not be bought locally. They will be imported. So, and the point has been made again and again that there are local companies here that are producing cars, and it should be good enough to produce, you know, to patronize local car manufacturers, even if they are assembling, even if they are car assembly plants.
I love that you mentioned that. A lot of people talk about the Innocent Motors. This is not. This has been trending. This was trending last week. It's a local manufacturer, and they produce vehicles that can be befitting for these lawmakers and the presidential villa. But before you speak, Rufai, I spoke to our State House correspondent this morning, Adesua Omoruwan, and she talked about the fact, she said she spoke with the budget minister, and here's what she said. He says that the figures are justifiable because, there is a minimum standard that the state should provide for the presidency. Another thing that the minister also said was that, he gave an example of the German councillor who was received on Sunday, which actually got a lot of reactions because people were saying, why was he received in that manner and all of that. He said Nigerians should have provided a more befitting vehicle to pick him up. I don't know how much more that acceptance would have been, Rufai and Ayo, and that he thinks Nigerians should focus on big issues like the military getting the whooping 605 billion naira in the first instance from the Tinubu administration. Rufai, I know you want to speak.
Okay, so I've been itching to talk. Yes. Concerning the German ambassador, I think the best way to have received the German ambassador, if we're a sensible nation, I talk because I'm a patriot, should have been to use an Innoson or Nord car to drive the German chancellor. And when the president gets in with him, he says to him, that car is made in Nigeria. That's the height of Nigerian engineering, auto engineering. Then Germany will start to take us seriously. But if we are glorifying ourselves, we could have done better, all right, then it is very, very sad for us as a nation. I specifically wanted to talk about this thing, that as we called out the senators, we are also calling out the presidency here, taking all those monies for why people are suffering. But what I really wanted to say as regards even those renovation is the fact that as a nation, we need to introspect and ask ourselves what we truly want. And I'll bring up the matter of a place called number 24 Sussex Drive. 24 Sussex Drive is the official residence of the Prime Minister of Canada. The residence had been run down for so many years. The money allocated to is about $40 million. But because the Canadian president or prime minister fears the people of Canada so much, and they must justify every amount spent, they've not been able to fix the official residence. The Prime Minister of Canada, as we speak today, does not live officially in the official residence of Prime Minister of Canada just because of $40 million. Canadian GDP is $2.11 trillion. Nigeria GDP is less than $400 billion. But you can see a country, despite the big economy and all of that, will still scrutinize its leaders. But a country with a small GDP that has not done well economically is so quick to spend frivolously on its leaders. So you can see the reason why economies like Canada does way better and economies like Nigeria and Africa generally are reducing. And that's what, to tie to what Dr. Abad said, that's what Ichilema was trying to explain to the Zambian people that they didn't get. May God help us as a nation.